Whilst it looks like a sugar rush screaming, "Eat my candy" at children, Flewfies Adventure is actually a really solid twin-stick shooter when you look beneath the surface, and I personally love this style of graphics, but I know it's Marmite to some people. Flewfies Adventure is a twin-stick shooter with puzzle and platform elements. You'll spend about 95% of your time piloting this UFO ship that Flewfie, your little cat, will pilot around across 5 different worlds and lots of different levels. You move with the left analog stick, shoot with the right, and you've got a boost trigger button as well. And as you move around these different levels, you'll be shooting various different cute enemies to make your way to the exit, and that's the base level of the game. But you'll be missing out on most of the fun and adventure if you don't stray off the beaten path. In doing so, you'll collect 5 golden coins in every level, and these are normally hidden in little secret areas or require little mini puzzles or button switches or dragging around of like blocks to trigger so that you can get to these coins. And in every single level, there's also Glop the Puzzle Master, who's like this weird little unicorn thing. And he's captured these little creatures called bun drops that look like sugar drops to me. And these have intricate little puzzles and obstacle challenges for you to manipulate to trigger a switch and unlock and free the bun drop. All of these puzzles, almost, revolve around your final move, which is like a UFO tractor beam, as if you're going to beam up some sheep or humans for dissection. And what this does is it sucks up various different like objects and blocks, which you can then hold and then fly around with underneath and then let go and drop them into switches. And quite a lot of things revolve around that. And almost take on a pinball-like feel, because what it'll be doing is putting these blocks into certain positions and then shooting a trigger which will then flip it up into the air or catapult it into a new location. And I really like the way how it's twin-stick shootery, but the puzzles feel like pinball machines, and the two merge together really, really well. Outside of that, there is also a card game called Feud. Now, I really struggled with Feud because I didn't really get to grips with understanding the core mechanic of the game. Thankfully, it doesn't really have a big say in the main overarching story of what's going on, but some of the extra bonus stuff for getting 100% clearance per level does revolve around playing Feud. How this works, there's 100 cards across the whole game. You pick out 3 cards from your deck and they have 3 different stats, left, middle and right. And then you lay them down on top of each other against your opponent, and then kind of depending on the stats and where you position them, they flip over the other person's card potentially if they outscore them. And it depends on who's got the right amount of points at the end. But it seems to be a bit confusing for me. I'm sure it's super simple for other people, but it just did not click for me at all. And so I kind of gave up with Feud quite early on. However, if a very simple flip 'em over card game suits you, it's there and it's fully playable with 100 cards and plenty of unlockable characters to go and battle with and steal their cards off them. The artwork in this game is beautiful. The way how the game handles is great. The enemy designs change up, and the way how the difficulty runs in this game is quite interesting as well. This all is down to the fact that your corridors for flying through are quite narrow, but the shots that people fire at you, or the creatures fire at you, are actually quite large. So you do need to start dodging around and going back and forth or backing away as you shoot. You can't just go in all guns blazing because you will get killed. What I really liked about the game as well is that the upgrading of finding treasure chests and unlocking upgradable parts either for your spaceship or for your own costumes not only are tied to just exploring the world around you, but when you unlock those additional coins by going off the beaten path, it rewards you with all of these different upgrade parts that you then go to some cat friends and then they'll pop them on your ship for you. So not only do you get the visual change, but you also get the stat boots as well. And it's quite interesting to see all the different types of weapon fire that you can get, from like neutrinos to donuts and so on and so forth. The music of the game is really good, but the music is also very short and on a loop. Thankfully, it changes quite often from level to level, and that's good. The bosses pop up really regularly, like every 3 levels there's a boss, and so expect 3 bosses per world, which surprised me. But it did mean that the quality and variation of bosses got a little bit stale, because it's just big creatures sending out waves of attack, not quite bullet hellish, but just chunky things for you to avoid. And so they kind of lost their appeal slightly over time, because they didn't feel they felt bossy, but they didn't feel challenging enough to warrant all of the extra pizzazz around them. The other thing that I would say just about level design is that some of the levels were elongated to feel longer than what they needed to be, because of that picking up and moving of blocks, to then drag blocks all the way from one end of a level to another, and then to pick it up and drag it all the way back again to then unlock another door, and so on and so forth. I thought that was just a little bit cheeky on some of the level design, and the only reason why I raise it is because the rest of the game handles and feels so good that you kind of go, why did you go for that kind of level design sometimes? Because it sticks out when the rest of the product is so well put together. If you like the look of this game, or the idea of this game, but perhaps don't want it to look so cute and in your face like this, I strongly recommend Space Otter Charlie, which plays a similar type of vibe of being a twin stick shooter but also a platformer. That one's harder, it's got more variation, it's more aimed at the 16-bit era of gaming, which is where I lived a lot of my child years from. If you're looking at something that's more pick up and play, very breezy, enjoy the colours, enjoy the sound, and be rewarded by just being a cat in a UFO spaceship shooting everything up, then Flewfies Adventure, I think, will tick all of your boxes and be a nice, relaxed and gentle playthrough of a game that is really addictive. And so I had to play this game a couple of times, because the first time I was given a review key, it was actually a demo key. So I played with the demo. I was like, oh. The second time I then got the actual game key, played it all the way through, but my capture software crashed and I didn't know. So I completed the whole game. I was like, yay! But then had no capture for it. So then had to go through a third time. So I feel like I can say this inside and out. Flewfies Adventure, worth the price of admission. Written review will be over on higherplanegames.com. If you found this review informative, please give us a like. Cheers! Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.